Well, hey there guys, I'm Axel the Beast, and this is the Curiosity Shop, the ZeldaDungeon.net video mailbag where I answer your Zelda questions. Just a heads up, actually, Cody of Zelda Universe has restarted the Zelda Universe mailbag, so you should check that out. There'll be a link right around there. So, our first question comes from Juicy J. Do you support the LEGO Zelda project? For those who don't know, there's been this LEGO Kusu, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing it right, is LEGO's website where fans can submit LEGO projects that have a chance of becoming an actual LEGO product if they get enough supporters. And I posted news about this on Zelda Dungeon a few weeks ago, or a week or two ago. And yeah, it's actually, like, if this gets enough support, there could be, theoretically, an actual LEGO, like, an actual product line of Zelda Legos. And I think it's the coolest thing ever. I absolutely support it. I think of all the different things that LEGO could license, Zelda's pretty much the coolest thing that they could possibly do. There's, like, an infinite amount of possibilities they could do with that. And I think it has enough support that, I mean, it has enough fan base to be totally worth it for LEGO. And I'm a huge LEGO fan, so I'd absolutely be for it. And it might even make me, like, go bust out my whole LEGO collection and make freaking Zelda Legos. That'd be cool. Zelda Master 123 asks, in Skyward Sword, why does everyone in Hyrule refer to Link as being human when he isn't? He's a Skyloftian, and although it would not make sense for the species in Hyrule to call him a Skyloftian, since they are unaware of the existence of Skyloft, why do they choose to call him a human? Does this signify anything? How do the species in Hyrule even know what a human is? Well, the species in Hyrule existed during the time of the goddess, where there were humans on the surface, so theoretically they actually do recognize the human race. The species that seem to have no idea what he is, and don't call him human, that would be like the Kikwis and the Magmas and whatnot. They are races that indicated they didn't have any serious, you know, they didn't have any real involvement with the lore of their people and of their history with Hylia. But the Perella and the Gorons seem like they did more, and it kind of makes sense they'd at least remember the name of the species on the, you know, from history. And the other question you have, the first one actually, he is still a human. I mean, you know, like an Asian person or a black person, a white person, they're all humans. They're different races. You know, the Zelda series has a lot of different races, but they are humans. Twilight Princess in particular identified this as fact. Link's Apprentice asks, in Skyward Sword, what is your favorite minigame and least favorite, and why? Well, I mean, I haven't had a lot of time to mess around with minigames because I was kind of rushing through the game, but playing through it now, on Hero Mode, I think I've had the most fun so far with the Thrill Digger minigame, because it reminds me a lot of Minesweeper, which was just, you know, I mean, everyone's played Minesweeper, but I still find it enjoyable. And I just liked how the game mimicked that. You can get tons of rupees, it's just totally worth playing. And, you know, as for a least favorite, I'm not sure. Maybe the skydiving thing with Dodo, but I don't think it's like a bad minigame. It's just maybe the least fun for me. Although maybe some of the more obscure ones, like moving the pumpkins from on you know, Pumpkin Landing, or like, you know, stuff like that. That might be another potential least favorite. Be sure to tell me your guys' favorite minigame and least favorite in the comments, though. M asks, what did you find to be the hardest puzzle to figure out in Skyward Sword? You know, I think for sure this would be the room swapping in the Sky Keep. I mean, it's not like an impossible puzzle, but it's really, really hard to figure out. You just figure out what order you're supposed to do it in. I mean, it's like you know what you're supposed to do, but the order you're supposed to do it in is really hard to figure out. And I spent a lot of time just thinking about it and trying to figure out what to do. And I even had to go back to it a few times and undo some moves I made. It's just a very challenging puzzle, and it's quite enjoyable. Zelda SS98 asks, in your opinion, what was the hardest boss in Skyward Sword? I think for me it was probably for sure Demise. I used I used multiple potions on him, and I didn't actually use potions a lot throughout the game, so using potions on him was just like notably more challenging than other bosses in the game. So yeah, other than that, maybe the Girahim fights, because, you know, they're just the most challenging fights in the game, in my opinion, besides Demise, you know. And, you know, none of the other bosses gave me a lot of trouble, and I never used potions on them, so while they were fun and definitely challenging, I couldn't say they're the most challenging. Skullduggery Kid asks, out of all the new races presented in Skyward Sword, which would you like to see again and see appear in future Zelda games? You know, I'd actually like to see all of them appear again maybe sometime. I mean, you know, they're not going to be that relevant in every major console game, But it would be nice to see something like them again sometime. I think that of all the Zelda races, even though I think a lot of the Zelda races are intended to be sort of standalone, at least they can appear in sort of a side game. That said, I think my favorite race of the game was probably the Magmas. But they did appear the most, so I don't think they necessarily need it the most. I'd say maybe the Perella, because they were really underused in the game, I thought. They're really little importance, and just, it'd be great to see them again. But I like the races in Skyward Sword in general, so it'd be cool to see any of them again. Rafa1996 asks, in Skyward Sword we saw Faron, Eldin, and Lanayru. The Light Spirits and Twilight Princess were named the same way, but Ordona's missing. What are your thoughts on this? Well, actually, it's one of the reasons I still think, despite too many concrete connections, Skyward Sword's story still relates to the backstory of Twilight Princess and the Dark Tribe and Dark Interloper stuff, because that backstory identifies that the Light Spirit stepped in to stop the Dark Interlopers, but it only identifies 3 of the Light Spirits, and Ordona's the obvious one that wouldn't have been involved, since, she or he or whatever was off to the side in the Ordona province, which was stated to not even be part of Hyrule. So, yeah, I mean, Eldin, Faron, and Lanayru are the obvious ones, and in Skyward Sword it only deals with the 3, so I think that's one of the reasons supporting that connection. So, yeah, that's it. Colin asks, overall, I felt Skyward Sword was a pretty good game, but one thing ruined it for me, the anticlimactic boss battle with Demise. Is it just me, or was that final boss battle really disappointing? Well, I've heard this a lot from some people, but this is a split issue. It's not like black and white. People disagree on this. Some people say it's disappointing because it's easy, and other people say it's disappointing just because it's anticlimactic. With regards to the difficulty, I had a lot of trouble with him. I thought he was a challenging boss, so I don't think he's disappointing at all in that regard. With regards to him being anticlimactic, just, straight on its own, I don't think so at all, because Demise was really one part of a 3-part fight. You had to fight, the Horde battle, then you had to fight Girahim, 2 phases of Girahim, and then you had to fight 2 phases of Demise. The final battle as a whole was really awesome. Demise himself also had amazing presentation. He was a really cool, really creepy, really awesome villain. And, his presence was built up throughout the game. He was the imprisoned, and he was mentioned constantly and discussed constantly. His presence in the game was not so much as a flat-out character, but as more like an elemental force. And I thought the ending was really great in that way, and very, very climactic, actually, in that it really finally showed you what this guy was, who he was, and what he looked like. I thought that was awesome. Alex asks, in Skyward Sword, Demise is defeated in the present and in the past. Link leaves the Master Sword in the past, and the original Goddess Sword is resting in the past Skyloft. Now that Demise is defeated in the past, do you think that we now have a new split timeline? No, actually, this is something a lot of people miss about the game. Demise is not affected by time. Fi actually states, when you, scan him or whatever, that he is a being who has conquered time, and that he appears differently to different people in every epoch. So, basically, and he even affirms this himself when he says, in the past, when he's just been sealed, after he's released, that he's been sealed all these years or whatever. So he's aware that he was in the future. Time doesn't matter for him. He exists out of time, more or less. That's what it implies. So that whole split timeline thing is irrelevant. He was defeated in the future doesn't mean he couldn't be defeated in the past too, and didn't still need to because he was still in existence. So yeah, that is that's something a lot of people miss. Noah Link asks, when Demise said to Link to enter the portal to face him, if Link would go back to into the present, shouldn't everything be under darkness because Link didn't fight Demise and he conquered the world in the meantime? This is the same thing, actually. Demise has conquered time, so realistically, he's fully aware of how short the amount of time is for Link, going back into the future, getting items or whatever, and coming back. He's probably fully aware of that, and he's probably just sitting there for a few minutes. I mean, a being existing out of time kind of breaks all the rules in that regard. Dr. 900 asks, at the ending of Zelda Skyward Sword, Demise was sealed in the Master Sword. Do you think we will see another Zelda game with Demise in it because of those events? To explain why he didn't appear in Ocarina of Time? No, because I think it was either Fi or Zelda who said that while he's sealed in the sword, he's actually getting broken down. So he's not going to appear again in that regard because he was destroyed within the sword. Other than what I'm about to cover in the next question. Courage Cucko asks, at the end of Zelda of Skyward Sword, Demise puts a curse on Link which says, "For all eternity, you and your descendants shall be pursued by a manifestation of my hatred." Or so-and-so. Do you think that this could be Ganon? Yes. Alright guys, that's it for this time. Be sure to send your questions to the contact page or email address in the description, and I'll see you guys later.